Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raw Dogs, a Bodyslam.net post show. I guess I didn't really tell you that's going to be the name of the show, but
Yeah, I found out. I found out. Cassidy told me.
so hello, everybody. My name is Nick Perkins. I am your co-host, along with Cory Hayes. Cory, we are coming out of a historic first episode of Raw on Netflix. And before we get to all that, we're going to go over everything. We're going to talk about The Rock, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Hulk Hogan getting booed more than when he was in the NWO. We're going to talk about all of it. But first, I kind of want to introduce ourselves to the viewers, whoever might be tuning in right now. So let's start with you, Cory. Tell me about your history as a wrestling fan.
My history as a wrestling fan. Well, hello everybody tuning in. If you don't know me, I am Cory Hayes. You can find me on Twitter at Cory_Hayes407. I started watching wrestling actually. WrestleMania 20 was the first time I watched wrestling.
All right.
My friends in school were talking about it, and I was drawn into this one single person on WWE, and that was John Cena. So
John
I
Cena.
started watching wrestling because of John Cena, and ever since then I've never stopped. And I've gone back, watched all the old stuff. I love it. I love it. I eat, sleep, breathe this stuff.
That's awesome. So John Cena was like you were right at his demographic, right? How old are you?
29. I am
29.
29.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, right around 2004. Yeah, that you sound like the perfect demographic for him. What
Yeah.
was it about John Cena that kind of was it the rap? Was it the jean shorts? Was
It,
it
it
the
was just the presentation. It was the presentation of how they presented him as somebody that I could relate to, because he said his story growing up was he was an outcast. People didn't like him because he liked hip hop and he wore baggy clothes and stuff. That was me growing up. I was in school. I loved hip hop. I would sit there and listen to it. I didn't care about anything else, any other music. I was a hip hop guy, so I'd sit there. I'd listen to all the hip hop music, and I was a jock, so I liked I did all the sporty stuff, and he just fit what me pretty much. That was basically me growing up.
did you buy his CD that came out, his hip hop record?
I did. I
Yeah.
had I had my mom buy it for me.
Yeah, as you should. That's great, man. That's awesome. So you've been a fan since WrestleMania 20. John Cena did come back tonight. That was huge. We'll
He
get
did.
into that.
Mhm.
What's kept you around? Because he like John Cena, he's been gone for a while. What's kept you a wrestling fan in the preceding 20 years?
We've had a few crazy years when it came to the business, but it's just a vibe overall. I love the entertainment aspect of it, and me myself, I've always wanted to get into it somehow, whether that's in the ring, doing backstage stuff some way. So it's just kept me drawn in. It's kept me drawn in even when his full-time run pretty much ended around 2018. I just stayed because I was hooked. I was hooked. At that point I was a diehard, and there was no getting me out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're lucky to have you as a fan. I so this is actually the first conversation you and I have had. We both
Correct.
contributed to bodyslam.net for a while. We both kind of got our own stuff going on. I scoped your Twitter profile and you've got kind of a huge following, dude. How did that happen? Why are you so
Let's
popular?
so the short story is I jumped into the IWC back in February of last year. I got into the IWC more because I didn't really tweet wrestling when it came to Twitter, my personal Twitter and stuff. I was
Sure.
doing it from another account, and then I jumped fully into it. There was people who noticed. I started making friends within the community, from backstage people to insiders to that type of stuff, and I started getting little tidbits of stuff, information for shows, and that's where the following started coming to me. Like I would get the full rundowns for Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown every week, pretty much, and
Wow.
people would see that. I would post it like 6 hours before the show started, and people would see it. They'd come and follow. They start interacting, and a lot of people would stay because they say I'm a positive mind. I don't do the negativity stuff on there. So a lot of people would look at it. They'd be like, "You're very positive. I appreciate that. You're one of the good ones in the community." I'm like, "Man, we have to spread the positivity because there's so much negativity within the wrestling community and IWC." So
Yeah, absolutely. The more positivity, the better. I always say. I try to be positive, but I'm also, if something isn't great, I'll bring that up as well. But the more positivity, the better. We're going to talk about the positives and the negatives of this Raw on Netflix debut, and we may as well start with that opening video. Did you watch it on Twitter before the actual show?
Yeah, I watched the cold opening when they dropped it this morning around like 9:30 or 10 o'clock when WWE dropped it, and it was incredible, man. It went over everything. Like they say, WWE's never gonna die, and the video package pretty much showed why. We're
It was
jumping into this
really
new era.
I noticed, and I'm a writer, you're a writer too. It felt like it was written by like an actual writer,
Yeah,
just the way it was put together. It looks like they got somebody who wants to be writing books writing that one, huh?
100%, 100%.
That's awesome. So opening video happened, and then of course we cut to Triple H, and he got to start the show. Triple H kind of he's like a love him or hate him kind of guy. A lot of people like me, maybe people like you, think that like he deserves to be where he's at. He's worked hard. He's done a lot of great stuff.
I think he needs to be where he's at. He's worked his ass off over the last 25, 30 years to get to where he's been. It's not even the fact that he's married to a McMahon. It's just he's done so much. He got hands on with it. When he got hands on, he started doing stuff backstage with everything. And ever since, you could tell when he officially took over as the chief content officer that things were different. It just felt a different vibe, and things moved in a different direction from what they were previously with the person that was in charge before that guy. Yeah, he deserves it. He deserves it. A lot of people hate on him just because their favorite people don't get pushed or whatnot, or his stories take too long. But everything at the end of the day plays out the way that it's supposed to. So for him, I think he deserves to be where he's at. I enjoyed the way that they revealed him in the ring. They had that whole curtain up. The curtain was up. The way that they played the cold opening on it was sick. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that. That was dope. I enjoyed the cold opening. The crowd got to see it that way. And then the first shot that you see of him is he's got a spotlight on him, and you can see all the advertisements on the ring mat. So
yeah, it was very reminiscent of that one NXT takeover where it like faded in from Black and cut to
yeah.
Triple H, and that's kind of when you realize that NXT, you're like, oh man, Triple H, he's a great wrestler, but he kind of knows what he's doing as the boss of this place,
Yeah,
and I
100%.
think this show absolutely proved that.
I agree. I agree. Tonight there was stuff that some people may not have liked through this show because it was setting the precedence for what's to come moving forward, the big debut and everything, and we'll get into everything. But I feel like tonight you could truly see the creative side of what he's got and where we're going moving forward when it comes to Raw on Netflix.
Yeah, and he's got a great team too, and we've got to shout them out. I mean, Nick Khan, like he might be a cutthroat, but like he has done exactly what they hired him to do, right? They're doing some incredible stuff business wise.
Yeah, yeah, it's their whole business motto now is they're taking over the world. They're putting the world in world wrestling entertainment. And
Nice.
when the old man got taken out of the company, that was the whole vision that Paul Levesque and Nick Khan had, was we want to take this international. And as you've noticed, there is a lot of international shows coming in 2025 on the road to WrestleMania. And that's the vision that they have. Business is booming right now. They had 18,000 people in the Intuit Dome tonight for an episode of Monday Night Raw. If that doesn't tell you how the business is going right now, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I mean, you came around at WrestleMania 20. You said I was here for the Attitude Era, which is when it felt like everybody loved wrestling, and I can honestly say, no hyperbole, it feels like that. We've got that feeling again, and
Yeah, it,
it's
it kind
fun.
of it kind of feels like it because, like I said, I've gone back and I've rewatched everything. It kind of has that feel to where it's a special feel, feels different than what you're used to, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. They're making money. The talent are working their asses off. They're getting the only difference now is the talent's getting more time off. The talent's getting more time off than they did back then. They were working 6 days a week back in the Attitude Era. Now they're only working 1 day, and they get the rest of the time off to be with their family or do what they want. And it's great. It's great because you could tell when they come to TV too that they're very motivated. So that's another thing on the business side that they've changed is Paul Levesque is very family oriented. So he likes to take care of the people because he at one time was in the position where he couldn't do anything with family or anything. So he likes to take care of his talent and his people within the organization. And I think that's a great thing. That's a great thing for this company moving forward.
Yeah, he's really got that work-life balance down, and I do think that that's gonna benefit him and the wrestlers in the long term. Because like you said, they're hungry. If you're only working 1 or 2 nights a week, you come to work and you really want to put on a show, and I think that's great. And speaking of people who only show up once in a while, once Triple H gave his spiel, we cut to The Rock. And I do have to say, I like them both, but it was funny that this Raw of the new era, the first two people you saw were Triple H and The Rock. What do you think about that?
Attitude Era guys coming? You had pretty much the guy who runs the day-to-day operations of WWE, and you had the guy who's on the board of TKO now. So you have two of the highest powered people in the hierarchy, I guess you could say, when it comes to it. So it was cool to see them come together, and we'll get into what happened with Rocky.
Yeah, it was great to see those two. As an old Attitude Era fan, it was great to see these two rivals kind of coming together as a team, especially when like kind of the little bit of a feud that the two had back in the 90s and early 2000s when they both wanted to be the number one guy. The fact that they have both kind of risen to the top of the industry in completely different ways, it's kind of inspiring to see.
Yeah, 100%. They've gone their own routes, both of them. Well, Rocky was born into the business. He's a nepo baby. I'll say he was born into the business. But Paul Levesque, he took his own path there, and he's fallen into the family now. So they both pretty much they're a part of the family. And seeing them both go different paths and ended up where they are now, Rock being a Hollywood star and Triple H running WWE pretty much. It's crazy to see, and both of them holding that special place within the company. I'm excited to see what they do for the future. Rock just bought $14 million worth of stocks into TKO also. So that's very interesting. He's just gaining more power as he goes.
Yeah, he's literally in it to win it. And I think that's a good thing for wrestling. But of course, once he made his entrance, we saw him touch his goosebumps.
The mana.
Kind of a controversial segment with the audience because it kind of seemed like those who saw The Rock like completely drop his final boss character, and he was kind of just corporate baby kissing, handshaking Rock. What do you think of that?
What I feel like the giveaway for that was his post on Instagram yesterday where he said, "I'm coming to the show as the High Chief. I'm not coming as the final boss. I'm coming as a father, as somebody who grew up in this business." I feel like we said, he came in for the first episode on Neflix. He wasn't going to miss it, but he came in more on a corporate side. He didn't come in a character side. He came in on a corporate side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, did you? So when you were, and we'll get to it more, but when Rock called out, well, he didn't even call out Cody Rhodes. He kind of acknowledged Cody Rhodes and kind of joked around with him, said that Cody Rhodes is carrying the company on his back. Was that kind of your first hint that, oh, maybe this isn't final boss Rock? Maybe this is just
when he was giving the flowers out to everybody, he gave the flowers out to Netflix executives. He gave the flowers to Cody Rhodes, saying that he's been carrying the company for the past year and a half, and he gave the flowers to Roman Reigns as well. And that was an indication that this is not character based. This is him being him as a person. So that should have been an indication that we're not really getting anything tonight regarding character development from that guy.
Yeah, I was kind of still holding out hope. So Rock did his segment. He shouted out the Netflix execs. He kissed all the corporate babies that he had to kiss, and then we got to tribal combat between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. It was, as you would expect, kind of a big match,
Chaos.
lots of interference, lots of big moves, lots of spots. What do you think of the
Yeah.
match itself? And then we'll get into the aftermath of it.
The match itself was pretty good. The match itself was pretty good. I feel like the beginning of the match was very slow. Like the action was very slow. You could tell that Roman not being in the ring on a weekly basis like Solo is, he's kind of winded. He's kind of winded in there trying to get his feet back under him. But the action picked up. The action picked up. Then you started getting the spots with the table and the chairs, and then you got the interference from the new bloodline. You had Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu come in there, and you had Sam Uso and Jim Uso come in and chase him off. And then the ultimate result was Roman Reigns hitting the spear, 1, 2, 3, pinning Solo Sikoa, being the true tribal chief. Roman Reigns gets the Ulafala back.
What did you think of Jey Uso not coming out with the rest of the bloodline to help out? Is that because they were saving that first pop for his match?
Yeah, I expected that. People were asking me why is Jey Uso not why is he not gonna be why is he not here with his brother and Sammy? And I was like, he's got a match against Drew McIntyre later, guys. So that's the thing. What do you think? You think they're gonna have him come out twice and waste that big pop that he got later in the night that we'll also talk about?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So Roman Reigns more or less got the clean win over Solo Sikoa. Before we get into the Rock stuff, what do you think this means for Solo and for the new bloodline moving forward? What's the direction?
I honestly don't know. I don't know what the direction is now because at this point, Solo's lost all his power. The power that he had was the Ulafala that he said he was the tribal chief. Now that he doesn't have the title, being able to call himself the tribal chief, I'm not sure where they go from here. I'm not sure if him and Jacob get into a problem soon. I'm not sure because the ultimate story was bloodline versus bloodline with them. So now what do they do? What does Solo Sikoa do heading into WrestleMania season?
And if you're Jacob Fatu or Tama Tonga or Tongaloa, like, what does this do to your confidence in Solo Sikoa? So maybe you're right. Maybe Mania is Jacob Fatu versus Solo. That'd be a match I'd like to see.
I could see that happening. I just don't know if they want to waste Jacob Fatu's first WrestleMania match because they see the star that he is. I don't know if they want to waste it facing Solo Sikoa this early because, as we know, they like to drag storylines a long time. So I don't know if they're going to start the division within the new bloodline or if they're just going to have them wrecking shop and creating chaos on SmackDown. Now that SmackDown's 3 hours again too. So
Sure. Yeah, maybe this is one of those cases where they're just so mad that they just destroy everybody on SmackDown to try to get their heat back.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. The way that they started after WrestleMania when Solo took out everybody, introduced his people, brought in Tama Tonga immediately after WrestleMania and took out Jimmy Uso. Then you brought in Tonga Loa, and then you brought in Jacob Fatu. I think they're gonna wreck shop again. I think they're gonna make life a living hell for Nick Aldis again. And like you said, could we see a potential WrestleMania match from a fallout between the new bloodline? Possibly, but I don't know the direction. It's hard to figure out what direction they're going with because their entire direction was Cody Rhodes and the OG bloodline. Now with both of those out the picture, what do they do?
What inning do you think we're in terms of the bloodline saga?
The entire bloodline or the new bloodline?
Entire bloodline. And I don't know anything about baseball, so I don't even really
I'd say
know
we're in the middle.
I'd say
we're in the fifth inning right now. I'd say we're in
fifth
the
inning.
fifth inning because I think it ultimately culminates at WrestleMania 42. I think that's the ultimate end of this bloodline story.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we hinted at it, but The Rock did come out at the end of the match, and I tweeted about this on my own page. I said there were like 5 different times where I thought The Rock was gonna do something and then rock bottom Roman Reigns, but he didn't. He respected him. They did the cool guy little handshake thing. Rock placed the Ulafala on Roman Reigns and acknowledged him. The whole time Paul Heyman was in the background looking like a proud papa. Did you think that Rock was going to do something, or did you know that like, nope, this is just a respect thing?
Yeah, you weren't the only one. I saw plenty of people saying the same thing, that they thought that Rock be coming out after the win from Roman Reigns, walking down the entrance so slow, and then standing behind him in the corner. A lot of people thought he was going to do something. Me, I knew what was going to happen because I got tidbits from what was going to happen tonight. I knew what was going to happen,
Cory's got
but
the
it didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me because, like we talked about earlier, this wasn't the final boss that was out there. This was the High Chief, and the High Chief was officially awarding the Ulafala to the Tribal Chief. So just like it happened before, where Roman was awarded the Ulafala in the Thunderdome era, it happened again. The High Chief put it over his neck, and they embraced like family. And that's what the whole thing was. That was a family segment. So,
Mr. Scoops Hayes, is The Rock going to be at WrestleMania?
if you couldn't tell after tonight, The Rock is not in the WrestleMania plans currently.
All right.
People have been saying it since November. The Rock had stuff come up in his schedule. Moana reshoots. He's got Fast and Furious movie too. The UFL is also kicking off in the spring. So he's got a few projects on his plate that are going to prevent him. At any time, can he be written into the story? Yes. Can The Rock is The Rock. And like we talked about, he's on the TKO board. So if he wants to come in and work WrestleMania and speeds up his filming process, The Rock is going to come in and do what he wants to do. But as of right now, The Rock is not scheduled to work WrestleMania 41. The current matches scheduled for WrestleMania 41 are Cody Rhodes versus John Cena and Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. Those are the 2 current main events scheduled for WrestleMania 41.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena and Roman Reigns versus Punk. If you had to guess who's going to be night 1 and who's going to be night 2.
Punk and Roman will probably main event night 2. They'll close out the event on a high note with a match that people have wanted to see for a long time. As you saw the social media numbers when they had their stare down, and then what happened at Survivor Series War Games, the social media numbers went crazy. So I feel like Roman Reigns being the top guy in the company, like he has been for the past decade, and you got CM Punk, the biggest draw in professional wrestling. I think they're going to be the ones that close out night 2. And you have Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, who's been carrying the company for the last year, and the greatest of all time, John Cena. I think they'll go home happy on night 1, and they'll go home happy on night 2.
Yeah, that makes me happy because, those of us who have followed CM Punk's career and his journey and his trajectory, the one thing that he's wanted to do that he hasn't been able to do is main event WrestleMania. It's the one hang up that he's had. And so I think he deserves just like give him the one night. It doesn't even have to be for a title, but to main event WrestleMania night 2.
Let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into that as well.
Sure.
You talk about CM Punk not main events in WrestleMania, right? That's what he's wanted to do for the longest. That's his favor from Paul Heyman.
Sure.
The favor is I get to main event in WrestleMania, and it's going to be me versus your guy in the main event at WrestleMania.
Do you think Punk versus Roman without a title is bigger than Cody versus Cena with a title?
I feel like they're on an equal playing field.
Okay.
Because, like I said, you have the guy who's been carrying the company for the past year. You have the greatest of all time in one match. They're facing off against each other. Pretty much 2 big baby faces of their eras. Then you have Roman Reigns, the guy who was the face of the company since 2014. And you have CM Punk, the guy that wrestling fans have wanted back into wrestling for the past decade. So I feel like they're on an equal playing field, and I think that's why they're doing the matches like they're doing, because of that. Because the star power is equal in both of those matches. So I don't think either one, night one or night two, are going to lose out in the main events because you have equal star power there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then probably Gunther versus Seth Rollins, would you say?
That's the direction I've been told. I've been told Gunther's going to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Because the plans obviously shifted around with Dwayne not being factored into WrestleMania 41. So they have their own plans right now. Gunther versus Seth Rollins is the plan. So after we'll talk about you mentioned Seth Rollins. We're gonna get into that main event last. We'll talk about that.
Oh,
But yeah, that was a shift. That was a shift.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what's cool though, and what is different than years past is I feel like fans trust WWE now, where for years and years they didn't trust the company to do the right thing. But I feel like Triple H and company have proven over the last couple of years, WrestleMania 39 main event excluded, that they know where they're going and that fans can trust them to do the right thing.
Yeah, the creative direction, I have no question whatsoever over the creative direction that they're going to go with all of the people involved for WrestleMania 41. We are now, tonight was the official kickstart of the road to WrestleMania, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out of the road to WrestleMania that people are going to be excited for. A lot of people, I see some stuff online right now about being Debbie Downers and whatnot about a certain storyline that's supposed to be happening for WrestleMania. But there the payoff is going to be just fine. Everybody's going to be taken care of, so don't worry about it. We're going to have a good time going into April.
Yeah, we're as the kids say, we'll be eating good, right? Yeah. I shouldn't say things like that. I never sound cool when I do it. All right. So following that, we got a Penta sighting, right? We had a video that actually spelled out his name this time. A lot of people thought Penta was going to debut tonight, but it makes sense to me that you would spread out some of these big moments across the coming weeks, right?
So the initial plan was for him to debut tonight.
Okay.
But the people, they wanted to do one more vignette to make sure the people knew exactly who he was. Because last week we got the teaser of the mask that he wears. This week you got the official Penta teaser.
Sure.
So that's the final straw right there. We're going to be seeing Penta El Cero Miedo on Monday Night Raw, January 13th.
All right, he'll be taking on Chad Gable. If you're following the story, that will be a heck of a match. It reminds me of Rey Mysterio's debut in 2002 against Kurt Angle, right? At that SummerSlam.
I feel like that's kind of the direction they wanted to go with it. Paul Levesque loves callbacks, and so does Shawn Michaels. They both love callbacks. So that's kind of the direction you're seeing with some of the stories. They're callbacks. And you hit it on the nail on the head right there. They it's gonna be, you got this Olympic style wrestler and you got this luchador going head to head in a debut. That's pretty much the exact same thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. So after that, following Triple H, following The Rock, Roman Reigns, John Cena, your number one guy, your number one boy, he came out and gave a promo, and it was a very John Cena-esque promo. It wasn't anything really that we hadn't heard before, but it just felt good to hear it again from John Cena as he kicks off this final tour. And of course, he announced that he will be in the 2025 Royal Rumble. What do you make of this segment, and what do you make of the fact that Cena will be in the Rumble this year?
Well, touching on that part, I'm happy. I'm very happy that we're getting out this number one guy his full year. He's getting to go out the way that he wants to, and he's gonna have a lot of input on what he wants to do. He said in the promo tonight he hasn't won a match in 6 years. Sure. He hasn't won a singles match in 6 years. He said, I'm not winning World Championship number 17 because I'm behind the 8 ball pretty much. I've lost it all, and there's no way for me to get it back unless I go in the Elimination Chamber, I win the Elimination Chamber, or I go to Money in the Bank and I win Money in the Bank, or there's a pay-per-view next month called the Royal Rumble, I'm going to go into the Royal Rumble. I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to win championship number 17. So the whole segment, like you said, it was Cena being Cena. John Cena is going to win the world title in 2025. They are going to break Ric Flair's record for world championships under the WWE umbrella. As for the segment itself, let me look. Give me a second. I'm gonna
feel
go
like
ahead and
Cena, if they're gonna have Roman Reigns try to break Hulk Hogan's record of number of days as champ, I think let John Cena be the kind of benchmark. Ric Flair had his time; he was great.
yeah.
Let John Cena be that record now. What a
I
great
don't
legacy.
I don't think that Roman Reigns, out of all people, is going to be the one that chases that record because Roman doesn't
Sure.
have much time left. Roman
Yeah,
doesn't have much time left when it comes to in-ring competition because he's doing his thing. He's going to be around, but he's not really going to be chasing championships like that anymore.
sure.
So John Cena being the guy at the top with number 17, I've seen a lot of people say they want him to win the Intercontinental Championship, but that's in the back of his mind, but that's not what
Yeah,
he wants.
it's
He
kind of
wants to
beneath him. What do you
he
think?
wants to go and he's a main eventer forever and always. He wants to win that 17th World Championship, and they're going to find a way for him to because he's going to be full time in 2025. So for him to be full time, he's going to hold that championship, and when he does win that championship, I'm pretty sure we're going to get the John Cena Open Challenge back again. We'll have him facing people that he's never faced before. But regarding the segment, if you looked at my Twitter around 3:30 this afternoon, I dropped what John Cena was going to be doing today on Monday Night Raw. I said that John Cena was going
You
to
sure
be
did.
talking about the farewell tour, and he's going to be talking about the 2025 Royal Rumble.
That's
So
exactly
go
what he did.
if
So
if
you are the guy to know. If you're not following Cory on Twitter right now, you should be. Cory, what's your handle again? Tell the folks.
so it's my first name _ my last name 407.
All right, that's easy enough to remember. You can follow me too. I'm at Western Rebel, and I'm looking at our views. And honestly, man, like this is more than I expected for our first episode. We've got 568 people watching right now. We've got people leaving comments. We've got a lot of people.
Let me go ahead. I've seen the comments dropping. Let me go
Yeah,
ahead
go
and
ahead and
see
shout some of them out.
if I can answer.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey Key, how you doing? Let's see. Jace says I hate this company. Well, Jace, you hate everything. So Black Hawk,
Hey,
thank you
Jace.
coming in here for the support. Thankful for the new tribal chief. Let's see. Gabe with is the Wyatt 6 and Final Testament segment happening next week? It looks like it. It looks like they moved it to next week because this week they kept adding stuff to the show. So it looks like next week is when we're gonna get the next part of it, which is gonna lead to their final match against each other. Let's see. Key talking about the live match, which we're gonna get to in a little bit. Let's see. Biba, yes, we are getting number 17. 17 is happening this year. No ifs, ands, or buts. John Cena is winning title number 17 this year.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. It is awesome having you here. Let's get back into the show. So a lot of people thought that Logan Paul was going to interrupt John Cena tonight. That did not happen.
I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad he didn't. I mean, a lot of people want to see the match just because it's an attraction match, which my guess is it's probably going to happen on the Saudi Arabia show this year. I think we'll probably get a Logan Paul versus John Cena match at a Saudi Arabia show this year. There was talks. They had discussions of Logan Paul and John Cena wanting to do a WrestleMania match, but that got shot down very quickly. Very quickly. They did not. No, it wasn't Cena. It was the WWE brass. Okay. Cena is willing to work with Logan Paul, but WWE was like, we don't want your final WrestleMania moment to be against Logan Paul. We want it to be against somebody that has meaning. And there's not really any meaning with him and Logan Paul right now outside of a podcast appearance. So it's like there's not really anything that matters between the two of them. Yeah. So, but like you said, Logan Paul appeared in the crowd. We got the crowd shot of him. The word going around is he's going to be a full-time Monday Night Raw superstar now. I don't know how much I believe that. I don't think he's going to appear weekly. I really don't. But I'm not happy to see him back. I'll be honest. I'm not a big Logan Paul fan. Logan Paul can work in the ring, but I'm not a big Logan Paul fan.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those real life heels, kind of. Right?
Yeah, it's not a character. It's not a
he's
character. It's real.
he's just
It's real.
actually kind of an insufferable jerk. But you know what? That's okay. He will be appearing in WWE in the future. I bet you him and John Cena will have a pretty great match. But I'm with you. I'm not. Logan Paul is always kind of a bathroom break for me.
Yeah, a lot of people feel the same way. He has worked some of his greatest work in WWE at the Saudi shows. So, like
Sure.
I said, I think that that's when they'll do it. It'll be a big attraction match over there. The Saudi government loves throwing money for big stars, and Logan Paul is a major name in the world, entertainment wise. And then, like I said, John Cena is the greatest of all time. So
Yeah.
it makes sense if they're gonna do the match, they're gonna do it at a Saudi Arabia show.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of Saudi Arabia, it was announced that it is going to host WrestleMania, or I'm sorry, Royal Rumble next year. I was thinking about a couple years from now when it'll probably host WrestleMania and people can lose their minds. But next year they're hosting Royal Rumble. What do you think about that? That was kind of mad. I don't think I've seen one positive reaction about this announcement.
I'm not a big fan of them getting. They're supposed to get 2 shows a year. If they're getting 2 shows a year, then the Royal Rumble better count as one of them, because they don't need the other 2 shows. They don't need it. They don't need the other 2 shows. So I wasn't really a big fan when the news came out on Sunday. The news broke that they were going to be doing the 2026 Royal Rumble there. Obviously, the Saudi fans love it. They love that they get the shows that come over there. If you talk bad about it, they're gonna hop in your mentions quickly and say, "Shut up, shut up,
Right.
fatty, shut up this, shut up that. We deserve it." And then you have people that say, "Why don't they?" It's not that the Saudi fans don't deserve it. It's just
Sure.
what is the point of this whole thing now? What is they have 3 years left on this deal with Saudi Arabia. I
I can
understand
tell you the point. The
I
point is
understand
money.
money. Money is the point. I understand
Yeah. Yeah.
they're getting big money on these shows, but in reality, what their crowds have not been the best when it comes to the shows over there. They've stepped up their game a little bit recently. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, but if you're doing the Royal Rumble there and you have the Women's Royal Rumble, how is that going to work? Is my question.
Sure.
Because they don't bring a lot of women with them when they travel over there. So how are they going to do the Royal Rumble?
It's gonna be weird, and you and I we're gonna be watching the Rumble at 3 o'clock in the morning some Sunday morning, so that'll be a trip. And I'm with you. The fans, the regular people in Saudi Arabia, absolutely deserve a show like that. It's just kind of everybody around them and the kingdom above them that
That's yeah,
maybe
that's the biggest thing with everybody is that the government is the reason why people don't want them to have a show. I have nothing against their fan base over there. They're
sure.
great.
Yeah,
They're great. It's just I don't know how they're gonna make it work. But judging from that video that they released today and the one that they showed on Raw tonight, I think it'll be a good show. It's just I don't understand. If they're getting a Rumble now, I have a feeling they're gonna end up getting a WrestleMania,
yeah.
and that's a sad thought for me, but it is what it is, man. It's a business, like we said. It's all about the money. So
It is, and if we want to praise WWE for all the good things that they do, we can criticize some of the not great decisions, but we also understand that those decisions are based in money, and it's hard to blame them for wanting to do what they can to make more money. So
absolutely.
well, speaking of women, the next match was Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, finally for the Women's World Championship, and this was a match. It didn't blow me away, but that's not a bad thing because my expectations were high for it, and they absolutely delivered. I think this kind of puts a button on Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, and with Dom in the middle, custody of Dominic Mysterio. What do you think? Is it time for everybody to kind of move on?
This was the finale tonight. That was the end. The Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Judgment Day stuff is over. That was the end tonight. That was the final nail in the coffin for this feud. They are now going to move in opposite directions. Rhea Ripley ultimately becoming Women's World Champion once again. WWE sees big money in Rhea Ripley, so it people, especially Liv Morgan fans, I'm going to say this to you guys. WWE sees her in a major way. So don't take this as a bad thing. Don't take this as a bad thing that she's losing the title now. Don't take it as a bad thing. Also, don't take her WrestleMania plans as a bad thing. Like I said, everything has a purpose. There's a long term plan when it comes to everything. So don't take it in that way. Just enjoy the ride. As for Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky is the planned match for WrestleMania 41. So that's going to be a fun one. That will be a fun one.
That will be a fun one. Do you think, has WWE, in your opinion, done a good job of kind of building up Io Sky to be a credible challenger to Rhea Ripley?
Yes. She at one point was fumbled. Her booking was very fumbled. She was all over the place. That beginning of Damage Control after SummerSlam, where she returned, where they all came together with her, Bailey, and Dakota Kai, it her booking was all over the place. But it feels like she's been putting on banger after banger after banger after banger every single time she's been in the ring. Her match with Liv Morgan at Saturday night's main event was absolutely fantastic. You had her slide in for Kairi Sane in the Intercontinental Championship tournament. 2 incredible matches that she had. And her booking is moving in the right direction. She's one of Paul Levesque's favorites. So
yeah, it'll be a hell of a match. So if you had to guess, or maybe Mr. Scoopster, maybe you know, what'll be the other women's title match?
Oh, so this last Friday on Friday Night SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton cashed in
Every time
with the Money in the Bank briefcase to win the WWE Women's Championship. What I've heard is there's a certain superstar looming in the background, ready to return. That she's going to be
initials CF.
Yep. That will be returning to challenge Tiffany Stratton for that championship at WrestleMania.
Who do you think would be the good guy in that match, or the good lady?
It's not going to be CF, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think
she's going in a different direction with her character. So it's going to be interesting to see how the presentation is. I don't know. The Queen gimmick has gotten very stale. She's tried it as both a heel and a face. It's gotten stale. So we'll see what direction they go with her. Let's go back into tonight real quick. Sure. With that. The initial, from what I had heard, Becky Lynch was scheduled to appear tonight.
Okay.
She was in town. She was scheduled to appear within that Women's World Championship segment. But instead, you got an Undertaker appearance. The Undertaker came out instead. And nostalgia, I'm pretty sure a lot of people enjoyed that. I saw PW Insider reported it earlier in the day. I had heard rumblings that he was in town as well. WWE spoiled it to the fans because they played his video on the outside.
That was whack.
They showed the video on the outside because Intuit Dome is so technological savvy that you can see everything. So they showed his video on the outside, and they kind of spoiled it for everybody. But be on the lookout for Becky Lynch very soon. Becky Lynch has a purpose. She's got a purpose coming, and it's gonna lead to her WrestleMania match.
All right. Like the man said, keep an eye out for Becky Lynch. Could I ask, and we'll get into the main event of this show in just a little bit, but there have been some people that have been hoping maybe Becky Lynch versus a certain superstar's wife, maybe AJ Lee.
That's a dream match, but I don't think that match will ever culminate, unfortunately, because AJ Lee's happy. AJ Lee's happy outside of the ring. Could we see a one-off for AJ Lee appearance? Of course.
Maybe a Royal Rumble appearance?
Yeah, potentially.
Probably not in Saudi Arabia, but maybe
no, definitely not there. Her husband's not going there, so she definitely ain't going there. We could potentially. It's all in her. The ball is in her court, pretty much, when it comes to AJ Lee. WWE is very open to having her come in and do an appearance and wrestle. It's just up to her. Punk says she's happy right now doing what she's doing. She's going to all these con events and everything out there, doing signings, having fun, writing books, acting. So she's doing her thing right now. She's being a mother to Larry. she's having a good time outside of wrestling since she left wrestling. But if there was a time that AJ Lee could ever return and have an appearance in WWE, I think it's now. With her husband back in the company and the regime being the way that it is now, I think it would be now. I think that would be now. But as for Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee, I don't see that happening ever.
That's fair. A guy and thousands of others, guys and girls, can dream. But we did get, like you mentioned, we got Rhea Ripley posing with the Undertaker, which is kind of a move out of left field. But when Undertaker first came out, I tweeted this. I thought for sure he was just going to like completely ignore Rhea Ripley and then just like do something else. Luckily, he turned around and went back up and kind of gave Rhea Ripley the old nod of approval. What'd you think of that? And did Rhea Ripley need that from the Undertaker?
Rhea Ripley's over in her own way, so she didn't really need the nod from Taker. But it was a little cool moment between the two of them. You could see the badass coming out of the screen from the both of them. Me personally, I like the American Badass character. I like ABA more than the Dead Man, honestly.
Really?
And
okay.
Yeah, I like ABA more than the Dead Man. And because the Dead Man character was retired, him appearing as ABA, it pops me every time. So
Sure.
I like that. And it's pretty much the turning over. He's pretty much saying it's your time again now, badass. Go out and do what you're gonna do.
Do you think we start calling her the American Badass, or I guess maybe the Australian Badass?
I don't think we'll ever see anything in court. I think it was just a cool moment that they had together.
Yeah, that'd be a tongue twister to say every week, but it was a great match. It was cool to see Rhea. It's great to kind of see this story move on. I think everybody did a great job. I'm excited to see what happens with Judgment Day if they all go their separate ways. Anything like that, it'll be exciting to see. But following that match, we got Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso with maybe the coolest entrance that we have seen in years and years, which I feel like we say all the time about Jey Uso. But he came out with Travis Scott, who is holding the newly designed Hardcore Championship, and a blunt. We're smoking weed drugs on WWE Raw on Netflix now. Yeah. What'd you make of this entrance before we get to the match?
The entrance with the drones and the atmosphere in the Intuit Dome, it was incredible. It was incredible to watch it on Netflix to see the presentation of it. The lights going out, Travis Scott appearing with Fiend playing in the background. Then all of a sudden, he's just standing there. He's got the Hardcore title on. He's wearing the Hardcore title. He's got a drink in his hand, and he's got a blunt in his hand. Then all of a sudden you hear Uso, and here Jey Uso's coming out, and meanwhile you got Travis Scott over there eating with him and smoking a blunt. And this is WWE on Netflix. Welcome to the new era.
You know, the Godfather used to talk about rolling a fatty for your pimp daddy, but this is the first time we've ever actually seen.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've ever seen it on television.
Yeah. What a cool thing. And it definitely adds to the aura of Jey Uso. I would say Jey Uso is probably the biggest success story coming out of Triple H's reign so far. Would you agree?
Jey Uso is one of them in my eyes. I definitely say that he's one of the success stories that has come out of the new regime. Taking him away from the bloodline and letting him establish himself as that singles competitor while his brother was injured and dealing with Roman still, that was the smartest decision they could have ever made for him. You had him as a singles competitor, winning a tag team championship with Cody Rhodes and that infamous post-show press conference that they had where they were off of the alcohol. You had Jey Uso win the Intercontinental Championship, even though he didn't hold it for a while. He held it for a few weeks, but you had him win the Intercontinental Championship. He's improving in the ring weekly. He's putting on good matches with his opponents. It was great for them to put him as a singles competitor and move him over to Monday Night Raw. He's, like I said, he's one of the biggest success stories from the new era, the new regime. I'd like to say Chelsea Green is a major success story. She takes whatever she's given and she gives it 1,000%. She doesn't miss. I have really enjoyed her coming back. Nia Jax has been a big success story ever since she came back. She got rehired. She has done a fantastic job. There's quite a few of his re-signings that I've really enjoyed. Before he got hurt, Bronson Reed was on a roll. Bronson
Sure.
Reed is another one. You could say that he's incredible. He's taken his ball and run with it since he's been given the opportunity, and I hope that he's still given the opportunity when he comes back. Speaking of the entrance from Jey Uso, Bronson Reed put out a tweet that said, "When I get back, I better be able to have a blunt with me in my entrance."
Oh, that's right. And I think that's only fair, right? I can
Yeah.
Travis Scott do it, but not Big Bronson Reed. It was something to see, and it was very cool. Of course, Drew McIntyre, speaking of success stories, man, that guy, just when you think he's down, he does something and he brings you right back in and reminds you exactly why he's where he's at in the company.
He's another example. He's another example of being given something and giving it 1,000%. He put his body on the line for the last year with this company, resulting in what happened. He got the World Heavyweight Championship and he lost the World Heavyweight Championship. Then he was put in high profile matches with CM Punk, and he's also had some personal stuff go on that he's talked about where for a few months he had to go back overseas because of family passing. He didn't get any time, and then he came back on the road and look what he's doing. He's taking the ball and rolling with it again. He's doing what he's doing now. He's involved. This we talked about it earlier. What is the direction? Drew McIntyre is now a SmackDown superstar, so Drew McIntyre is probably going to be involved with that new bloodline.
Sure. Yeah. Do you think one or the other turns face? Do you think Drew McIntyre gets to the point where people are cheering him again, or is this going to be kind of one of those shades of gray moves?
I think Drew McIntyre works perfectly as a heel, so I don't think that they should turn him face anytime soon. The crowd might react a certain way, but I think Drew McIntyre is perfect as a heel. So I think he stays that way. I definitely do not see Solo Sikoa being a babyface. There's no chance in hell that Solo Sikoa comes out as a babyface. Build him as this dominant force. If anybody's going to come out as a babyface within those group of people, it's probably going to be Jacob Fatu.
Oh yeah,
Jacob Fatu is going to be a major babyface for years to come in WWE, and that may I haven't got it confirmed. I've got to ask, but that may be the direction that they end up going for Jacob's first match is Jacob versus Drew McIntyre. Because Drew McIntyre, remember, he did say, "I'm coming back for you solo after I get my hands on everybody."
Sure.
So Drew is still out for blood.
So speaking of that, I am going to be honest. I thought that Drew was going to win the match tonight, but Jey Uso ended up getting that pinfall, that quick pin victory, and won the match. Kind of makes me think that the story is not over between Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure the story, with everything that happened tonight and transpired, I'm pretty sure that Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn, and all of them, they still got unfinished business. All of them. I'm pretty sure. What I had heard is originally the OG Bloodline was going to go to Raw, but it looks like they're going to SmackDown. It looks like Sami Zayn's going to SmackDown also. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, Jey Uso played Drew McIntyre. He played him. He fell to the floor. He sold like he was done. Drew got ready to go and hit a Claymore again, and he got pinned. He got pinned 1, 2, 3, and Jey Uso got the hell out of that ring because he knew he was coming after him.
Yeah, he's seen that movie before. He knows if he sticks around, he's getting a boot to the face. But
100%.
That is awesome. Again, guys, thank you for joining us. We're at like 621 viewers right now. We want to thank each and every one of you. That is so cool. Cory, let's take a look at some of these other comments. Somebody, Blackhawk, is saying that they love you. So,
yeah, that's my guy. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you for tuning into our first show right here. So we talked about that match. Of course, we have the next segment that came after that match.
I am so excited.
You're wearing the colors right now.
Yeah. This was
you're wearing the colors of the man who was in the head of that group right there.
You're right. I feel like maybe I should rip it off.
And what transpired in Inglewood, California tonight?
Oh man. So on Twitter, we saw a picture of Hogan wearing his MAGA Powers shirt,
Yep.
Trump, Vance, and Hogan. And I think that probably sealed his fate for the reaction that he was going to get. Los Angeles, I don't know where they stand politically, but I kind of expected a not super positive reaction for Hogan because that's just how it's been the last few times he's appeared. I did
Yeah.
not think it would be this bad.
The Inglewood crowd gave it to him tonight, and I loved it.
Inglewood was up to no good.
That's exactly what they say. Inglewood's up to no good, and that was I was laughing my ass off at that segment because he's there trying to promote his real American beer, and all they're doing is booing the hell out of him. He tries to rip off his shirt. He can't even rip off his shirt. It's hanging off of him when he's walking. Hang it up, man. Don't come back. Your time in wrestling's appreciated, but your time outside, what you do on the outside, and you try to bring it into it, hang it up. You gotta go.
Leave
I
the
think
memories alone.
WWE has him in the Saturday night's main event hype for January 25th. I don't think we're gonna see him there, especially if the Body's gonna be there. The Body hates him.
Sure.
The Body absolutely hates Hulk Hogan. So, I am hoping that this is the last that we've seen of Hulk Hogan when it comes to WWE. I don't care if the Real American Beer is a sponsor. Just don't bring him on TV anymore. There's no need. There's no use for him to be on television anymore. I think WWE learned their lesson tonight. When he came out there, you heard Real American play, and the music's playing, and they're booing. They're booing while the music is playing. So the segment was a train wreck from the beginning, and I don't think we're ever going to see Hulk Hogan again in a live segment like that.
Well, and it can't be fun to be Hulk Hogan, right? Like he goes out, the egomaniac that he is, he wants the thousands of people cheering. It can't be fun to hear that many people booing you, not even because you're like a bad guy wrestler, because they legitimately don't like you as a human being. That
He's the one that laid in that bed, though. He did it to himself with everything that's happened with him. He did it from his racist comments to where he stands in the world and stuff like. He did it to himself. So you could only expect that's what's going to happen when he comes out on WWE television. And if they try to bring him on WWE TV again, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen again. Hell, it happened WrestleMania 37 here during COVID, the COVID years. Yeah. This is his town. This is his area, and he got booed like a motherfucker here.
So, yeah. I'm pretty sure we can say motherfucker on this. Cassidy, what do you think? I know he's watching.
Go ahead and give me a fine. I'll take a fine.
We can't fine you if we're not paying you. That's all right. I did want to mention, though, because The Undertaker appeared to, and it seems as though Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker do have a lot of the same political beliefs. The Undertaker did kind of vouch and endorse Donald Trump, which is fine, whatever. Believe what you want to believe.
Yeah, the political side is not really what people are looking at, though. It's the type of person that you are. And Undertaker has never been outed as a racist.
Right, at least in public.
That's what I'm saying. In public. So there's a different reaction when it comes to Undertaker and Hulk Hogan. They both might have their side of the spectrum when it comes to politics, but Hulk Hogan's whole thing is that the tape got leaked. Everything came out of him saying what he said, and that pretty much sealed his fate. So that's the difference between the two of them.
Yeah, that is completely fair. But after that awkward segment, we finally got to the main event, something that has been a decade in the making, something that's certainly been the last year in the making since CM Punk first came back to WWE. Before we get back to that, Cory, I want to talk about just a little bit because I love hearing people's reactions. Last year at Survivor Series, when Punk returned, I know you've got insiders, you've got some scoops. Did you know that was happening? And more importantly, what was your reaction when those first chords of Cult of Personality hit at Survivor Series?
Oh, you wanna know what my reaction was? I was there.
You were there.
I was in person. I was there in person. Give me a second. I'm gonna try and find the video and share it in the YouTube chat.
Were you the guy that kept shouting Chicago?
Yeah, sure. I was on the floor. That was definitely me. But no, I have family that lives in Chicago, so I made it my plan to go to Chicago for Survivor Series because it was War Games. It's gonna be a great show. I said I jumped into the IWC in February, but I had a little bit of insight that they had some conversations ongoing that week before Survivor Series. I already had booked my trip the month before, so I was like, okay, they're doing this, and I got to Chicago. I found out, yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Um, I wasn't so sure though. I wasn't so sure
Sure.
because after the main event,
There's
I'm like,
always that
what's
seated out.
happening? I'm like, what's going on? We're here in person. We don't really have any service in this arena, but Sean Ross Sapp said my stance has changed apparently, and when he said that, people went nuts. Let's see, I'm trying to find it, but yeah, I went crazy. If you don't know, I got the shirt on right now.
Oh, we got
I
a
have the
pump fan.
I have the Survivor Series shirt on right now. So
That's awesome. It was well. You look that up. I'll talk about my reaction. Was I did not think that CM Punk would be coming back. Maybe I worked myself into a shoot, but I did not think that CM Punk, at least at that time, had mended enough fences. And so I didn't even watch Survivor Series that night. I had a date night with my girlfriend, and I figured, you know what? I'll watch it tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be a good show, but there's nothing that I need to see. And how wrong was I? Because I remember my girlfriend and I got home. We were getting ready for bed. I flipped on my phone and was just scrolling Twitter, and I saw the picture of CM Punk and Triple H. And
the finger point picture.
In the finger point picture, and I thought, AI is getting out of control. We got to stop with this. But no, it was real. It was. Listen, my girlfriend puts up with my pro wrestling fandom. She has never seen me jump around like a little boy on Christmas morning more than she did on that night when I found out that Punk had indeed returned to the WWE. It was one of my favorite moments. And then the next day I watched the actual show, and it was, man, what an experience. I can't believe you got to be there live. I'm so jealous.
The atmosphere was incredible. I don't know if the comments showed up or not. I posted the link from my Twitter and YouTube. I don't see it in the chat, but I posted
That's
it
all
in
right.
there.
We'll figure it out. People can follow you on Twitter. You can repost it there.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts.
So Punk came back and had this incredible year, even after getting injured in his second match back at the Royal Rumble. Still, he had this incredible year, this incredible feud with Drew McIntyre. Finally came back to Seth Rollins. They had that amazing promo battle last week. Did the main event kind of meet your expectations? Was it everything you thought it would be?
It did. They were beating the living hell out of each other. They were working stiff in that match. They were hitting each other. They were hitting each other with closed fists. They were hitting each other with elbows. Seth connected on a GTS straight to Punk's nose.
Yeah.
The curb stomp was direct. Seth hit a curb stomp. Punk hit the double GTS, of course, to close out the match. The match was paced well. I just hate. I'm gonna say this right now. With the Neflix, I love the presentation on Netflix, but I hate that us in the United States, we have commercials still.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it'll flash and then it'll go right back to the match. Whereas us, I heard some people in the U.S. still didn't get commercials. I have the highest tier of Netflix, so I don't know how the hell I had commercials.
Sure, I don't know what my tier is.
I am going to be using NordVPN from now on to watch.
Maybe we can get them as sponsors. We'll see if Sean.
Hey, NordVPN, I gotta hit up Sean Ross Sapp. I need.
Corey gets it. Look at that.
My good friend Sean Ross Sapp.
Your good friend Sean Ross Sapp. We exchange a couple DMs once in a while. He's a good dude.
Great person. He will come at you. He'll come at you if you come at him. He'll dish back the energy just like you dish at him. Me, I see people come at me all the time. I just leave them on red. I don't say anything.
That's like probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I understand with him though, because people are coming at him on a different level. Sure. He's on a different pedestal than I am. Obviously, I'm not a confirmed insider like that. I get scoops, but I'm not a confirmed insider. Maybe I'll get there soon.
You'll get there.
I'm not on his level. I'm not on the Sean Ross Sapp level. Hell, I'm not even on the Ibu from Wrestle Purist level. He's taken his trajectory has gone like this in the last 6 months also, and I'm happy for him. People do the same thing to him. They come after him. They say he's not credible. He's been dropping a bunch of information that has come true in the last 6 months that people need to understand that, yes, everybody is not a dirt sheet. but there's a hell of a lot more people getting information now. So you got to watch what you say to these people. You got to be nice, man. Stop attacking us. Stop attacking us. There's no reason. There's no point to come after us.
If you do want to attack me, you can just make sure that you follow me too, so I can at least get those follower numbers up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got over 2,000 people that have blocked me on Twitter. Because every time I look in a response to somebody's tweets, whether it's Sean, it's Ibu, it's Bodyslam, somebody's tweets, I'll look at a response and I can't respond because I'm blocked.
Who would block Cory? Like you said, you're like
people don't like me. People don't like me. They don't like me because I was able to make a jump in the game without even doing anything. They don't like me. So
is it because you're a Buccaneers fan? Maybe.
No, it's not. It's nothing sports oriented. People really don't like me because I put the news out there about the Lucha Bros. The Lucha Bros having deals with WWE, and then Tony Khan added on injury time to both of their deals.
Sure.
People do not like me because of that. They're like, you said that they signed. I said, no, they agreed to a deal. They had a deal ready for when their contracts were up. Yeah. I never said the word signed. I said multi-year deals. I said multi-year deals straight to main roster. Well, look what's happening next week on Monday Night Raw now. Who's coming? Who's showing up on Monday Night Raw? Who's on the main roster now? Who's on the main roster?
Exactly right. So if you're not following
his
Cory,
brother would be right with him if he didn't get time tacked on.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually, I think. So since you brought it up, and since you were kind of one of the harbingers of the information, do you think Tony Khan did the right thing keeping Phoenix, or do you think was that kind of
it's in his right to do that? The wrestlers sign these contracts to have that language in there that if you're out, you go out with an injury, the company has the right to add injury time to your deal. Tony didn't do it because of an injury, though, man. Tony did it because he didn't want them going to the competition.
Out of spite. So, but you know what? It's kind of a double-edged sword for this guy because people say, Tony, you got to stop being friends with these wrestlers. You got to be a boss. And then when he's the boss, they're like, Tony, you're such a jerk.
Yeah, I was able to meet him for the first time at World's End. I was able to talk to him. I was able to meet him. Good dude. It's just he's very personable. He gets along with everybody, I think. So that's why a lot of people say to him, you got to stop being friends, be the boss. He puts his foot down. He's put his foot down multiple times now. With this, do I think that it was the wrong decision to extend Phoenix just because WWE was going to bring him and Penta in together? Yeah, I think it was the wrong decision. If you weren't going to add the injury time before the news got out there, before we started telling the people that they're going to WWE, why didn't you do it then? Why did you do it now when the news came out there? So that's my gripe with it. But other than that, like I said, the companies have every right to add injury time to these contracts because the wrestlers signed the contracts.
Yeah.
So they know the language in their contracts. They know what they can have happen. It's happened in multiple companies. Multiple companies do it. WWE hasn't done it recently anymore. They haven't done it that recent. They did it to Sheamus. Sheamus had some injury time, but he re-signed. So that doesn't matter. He re-signed with them, so that doesn't matter. They let guys like Bobby Lashley go. They let a few guys go. So they didn't add any injury time to those people's deals. They just let them go. It's a business at the end of the day, like I said. So I don't have a problem with the companies adding injury time. Just don't do it to be petty. Don't do it to be petty. Do it if you're gonna do it when they get injured.
Yeah.
Make that known that you're gonna add injury time to their contract, so the talent knows when their contract is actually up. Compared to my contract is coming up, and they're not letting me out of it. So.
I've had a job where I had an offer from a different company, but I couldn't do it because of a non-compete clause. And I will tell you, if you're in that position and you know that the only thing stopping you from making a better living and being happier is your current boss, boy, oh boy, does that resentment build up.
Oh yeah. I can only believe that. I probably, there was a point where you go to the military, you're bound to a contract with the military, and you want to leave the military, you can't. You're stuck.
Sure.
You're stuck with the military. Like me, there was points in time where I wanted to leave. It's like, no, you're stuck for 4 years, brother. Sorry, you're stuck. So you gotta ride this one out and then see if if it's right for you. And then I re-upped, and then I re-upped again. So it's like
Wow.
it didn't really bother. So, but
Sure.
yeah, it's a business at the end of the day. All these different places have the non-competes and the whole I can add stuff to your contract. So it's a business. It's a
Well,
business.
speaking of contracts, CM Punk did get out of his AEW contract and ended up back in WWE. The match with Seth Rollins tonight was great. Do you think that's the end of the story with these two, or do you think there's more meat on the bone?
For now. For now is what I've been told. I've been told for now this is not a trilogy or anything. This was a one-off.
Okay.
They're done at the moment. CM Punk and Seth Rollins are done feuding at the moment. The focus for Punk now is going to the Royal Rumble. The focus for Seth is what's next for me. Like I said, the plan is for him to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So how do we get there? Those are the plans right now. How do we get to Punk versus Reigns at Mania also? So those are the plans moving forward. After that, could I potentially see us maybe falling back into it where a title's involved? Absolutely. I can see it to where we get a program where they've got a championship involved. That was the initial plan, too, by the way. That was the initial plan. Punk was going to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship before Punk tore his tricep.
Sure.
So I can see them down the road revisiting, but as of this moment, it's a one-off. This was the end of that as well. I'm pretty sure they'll talk about it, but between the two of them, this was a one-off, and the focus is the road to WrestleMania now.
All right. Can people quote you on the Twitter saying Corey Hayes says this was just a one-off between CM Punk and Seth Rollins?
They can.
For now?
If they want to say something, they can aggregate me and say that for the moment it is a one-off between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They can.
All right, you heard it here, folks. I did want to talk about the end of the match. Maybe it was just me, and maybe I'm just nervous because CM Punk is my favorite wrestler. Did it look like he got a little banged up in that? Was he just acting well?
It felt a little weird at the end. Like one of them maybe suffered an injury. I think they were just banged up. I don't think either one of them is hurt. I think they just got it was a physical match.
Yeah.
Like I said, they were beating the living hell out of each other, very stiff. So I don't think I know Punk spoke at the post show press conference that they're doing.
Okay.
The Neflix Raw. I'm gonna watch it after we get off of here.
Yeah.
I know Punk spoke. I know Cena spoke. Rhea was talking, but Punk. Yeah, I don't think he's injured. I think they're gonna be feeling that match tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's injured. Now Seth was busted open on his face. I don't know what happened there.
Was that?
I don't know how he got cut open. Because the closing segment of the match was CM Punk hitting the GTS, Seth hitting the ropes, rolling back into his arms and getting hit with the GTS again. So I'm not sure where he got busted open, but I'm hoping that both of them come out injury free.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the word comes out that they're both injury free and they're just banged up because it was a hard hitting match.
Yeah, it sure was. Did it Was it the match that you wanted it to be? Did you want it to be a little bit longer? Did you think it should have been a little bit shorter? Was it?
I heard it was going to be around 30 minutes, so I was expecting this match. I was expecting what they're doing. It did. I think it got like 24 minutes or something runtime.
Yeah.
That's not including the entrances. I think it got like 24 minutes. What I saw without our stupid commercials, it was good. The stuff that people were posting, the Neflix clips on Twitter of what was happening during the commercial, and it delivered. It was a good match. It was a very good match. I think they were very deserving of the main event spot. I think WWE made the right call tonight, making them the main event and not putting Tribal Combat in the main event, especially if there was no payoff for Tribal Combat outside of Roman getting the Ulafala back. Nothing came out of that. So this match, with their hatred for each other and the build-up over the last decade, it made sense to main event, and it lived up to my expectations.
Do you think now, after this match and after the year that he's had, do you think CM Punk has put to doubt any of the or put to rest any of the doubt that people may have had? Do you think he's proven that he can still go?
As long as he doesn't hurt himself, CM Punk is still one of the best in the world in the ring. So yeah, 100%.
Well, that is how the first Raw of the Netflix era ended, and that is how we will end. We're coming in at about an hour and 15 minutes, which is pretty good, right?
Good.
Did you have fun talking about this? Is this something, I don't know if I want to do it every week, but maybe we can if you bring your following with you.
Yeah, I could do this. Could definitely do this in the future. I think this could be a weekly thing for me.
All right.
The connection held up today.
Yeah,
good. The connection held up, so I think I can do this weekly. I think this is going to be a thing that if you can't make it, I'll do a post Raw show every week. I can do that.
All right. Can we still call it Raw Dogs?
I will raw dog by myself.
Sounds like my teenage and 20s. That's awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Cory, thank you for joining me. Tell them one more time where they can find you on Twitter.
On Twitter, they can find me, my first name, CORY_HAYS 407.
Awesome. You have anything else you want to plug? Anything you're proud of? Anything you want people to know about you?
If you're gonna hit me with a follow on Twitter, I appreciate you guys. To those that are in here watching that are following me or are supporters of me or supporters of Bodyslam, we appreciate you. I appreciate you. I love you guys a lot. It has been a fun first episode of Raw Dogs, but for now,
yes, he said it.
I am out of here.
All right, everybody. And for Cory, for Bodyslam.net, I am Nick Perkins at Western Rebel on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for helping us raw dog it.